So Good Chodesh today, of course, is Rosh Chodesh Kislev, the first day of Kislev. As you may have heard from by now, it's a significant day in Chabad, considering that 1978, after the Rebbe had a heart attack in public on Shmini Atzeres. The story is incredible, how the Rebbe endured it and tried to conceal the pain he was going through from those who were there. The Rebbe insisted on making Kiddush on wine in the sukkah while he was having a heart attack. An incredible story. And they essentially turned the Rebbe's room into a makeshift hospital. Dr. Cardiologist from Chicago, Dr. Ira Rice, was flown in. He became the Rebbe's primary caregiver basically all the way through. And the Rebbe basically stayed in 770 in his office for those few weeks, as it was like a kind of ICU. And on a SHLUCHIM'S Kislev, the Rebbe first went home. That was an indication of the Rebbe's regaining his health. And of course, that led to, from 78, almost 20 more years of the Rebbe's continuing campaign and teaching Torah and adding in his workload, not diminishing as one would think. You have a heart attack, you got to take it easy now, which is what the doctors told him. But the Rebbe increased his workload. And Shlichus, in some ways, really only took off after that. Many of the Rebbe's campaigns on the global scale began after that. So the Rebbe for bringing more often after that. Dollars, the Rebbe standing for hours, giving out dollars, only started after that. I mean, the Rebbe's workload increased, not decreased. And Nes Shenasa Rabbi, it's a miracle that happens to one's Rebbe, to one's teacher, applies to the Talmudim as well. And therefore today's celebration in Chabad. It also became, years later in 88, I think, maybe 87. 86. Became the International Kinus, the International Conference of Shluchim. It was chosen as that date basically because it's right after Tishrei. And Chassidim would often spend Tishrei, month of Tishrei with the Rebbe. Right? Person's supposed to spend Yom Tov with his Rebbe if he can. And that's what Chassidim would do. But the Shliach can't. He's got to lead his community. That's his mission, right? So sometime after Tishrei, Shluchim would come in. So sometimes the Shabbos Bereshis, my father would go, or other times, because of that, it kind of fell out to be Shabbos Mevorachim Kislev. So the two things, the Shluchis, the conference of Shluchim and the SHLUCHIM'S Kislev, kind of became like a one long shared holiday experience. And because this year, it's incredible, it's unprecedented for sure. Because this year, everything's is virtual, right? Nobody flew into New York. Whoever was local was there, but they didn't have any gatherings anyway, even if they were local. Yeah, but there was no events to join in person. They were all virtual. So after the Motzei Shabbos, the program, part of the program was, so that, like they always do at the Kinus, on Thursday and Friday they had sessions, but this time all virtual sessions where you can discuss and share ideas, etc. That's kind of what the Kinus is. It's a conference. How do you deal with this issue? How do you do that? How do you promote this kind of program? How do you build this? All that kind of thing. So the program officially Motzei Shabbos was a Zoom Farbrengen. So it started Motzei Shabbos in Australia, which was the first one to have Shabbos and therefore the first one to end Shabbos. And then as the time zones finished Shabbos, they joined the Farbrengen. And then as time went on, the people in Australia went to sleep, but the Farbrengen kept on going. With new people joining all the time. So we joined 8 o'clock at night here, and we Farbrenged until whatever it was. And then by the time we left, there's still, so this Farbrengen, which started Motzei Shabbos, today's Tuesday morning, it's still going on. It's still going on. There's still some 400 people on the Farbrengen from different time zones. People are, sorry? So it's still going. That's what I'm saying. It's still, since Motzei Shabbos till now, the Farbrengen is still going. It started in Motzei Shabbos. It started in Motzei Shabbos, and as Shabbos went out and all different time zones, people joined, and then it's just kept on going and going.
Listen, everyone's going for bringing that.
Right.
So they keep for bringing for let's say 8 hours.
And then you go. Someone else, exactly. Someone else finished the day and starts to Farbrengen. But then you get back on the next day. It kept on going.
It's cycles. Let's say
every few hours.
15 hours.
But every few hours, another time zone that can join.
Let's say every
right?
15 hours, the same time zone comes back on.
Exactly. A different day. Exactly. So I was on Motzei Shabbos and I was on last night. And then, and it keeps on going. So this is an unprecedented Farbrengen that lasted for something like 50 hours. I don't think this ever existed in the history of Farbrengens. So it's quite a unique history being made as we speak. Farbrengen that goes on for this long.
usually for bringing, there's usually one person consistently there throughout the whole time.
Yeah.
At least.
It's interesting. In I think it was 1990 at the conference, the Rabbi made a remark that that was like, giving a blessing that the conference should be successful. And then Rabbi said at one point, until the point that everybody has a conference in there, that the Shluchim conference happens in every individual Shliach's location. In other words, Rabbi was saying it, at least it seemed at the time, Rabbi was saying it like as the idea, the inspiration that you're getting here and the feelings that you're feeling now of connectivity to all of your fellow Shluchim and fellow Jews, etc., should be brought back to your communities where you are. That's the way people understood at the time. But this year is quite literal. Everybody's having the Kinus in their location, with their communities, fabringing and sharing. So it's quite an incredible, incredible thing. So I thought it would be nice to share that with you. And then the Potter B'loi Klum Yefsher, we can't not learn something in the Gemara, so we're going to learn a little bit of Gemara and we'll continue B'Yashem tomorrow. Okay, so we're on Pei Zayin Amud Aleph, 87a. The last line of the narrow set of lines, third to last word, says, Kol HaMezakas HaRabim. It's befitting for Shluchim, because we hope Shluchim live up to what the Gemara is demanding here. Okay, so the Gemara says like this, Kol HaMezakas HaRabim. Anyone who is involved in causing merit to the community, his job is to provide for the community, spiritually speaking. And therefore, he's not just earning credit, as it were, on its own, but rather offering and guiding and helping others that they get merit, that they get their connection to Hashem. So says the Gemara, Ein chet ba'al yadai. Sin does not come to him. In other words, Hashem prevents sins from coming to him. Of course, he still has free choice. And not to worry, even communal people can sin. We've talked about this in previous classes. Person still has free choice. But nonetheless, there's a certain help that a person who's involved in serving the community gets on various different levels. To start with, the very fact that he's sharing with the community itself inspires him. So it's not befitting for the Kinus HaShluchim. It's a true experience. You inspire somebody else, and you see their growth in Yiddishkeit, and you see their commitment and the things that they give up for Yiddishkeit. It inspires the Shliach. It inspires the one who's giving inspiration in turn to grow itself. On one level. Another level is, everyone once explained how it is that Shluchim go and affect the communities around them and aren't affected by them. Yeah. Give examples of salt and that's right. So the Rebbe used over here the Gemara is stating it as a fact. Using the example of the salting is a way of explaining this fact, namely as follows. The halacha is, right, you have to salt meat to draw the blood out. Right. So the way it works is the salt literally opens the pores of the meat and the blood pours out. And the Gemara explains, why is it that when the pores open and the salt and the blood comes out, why doesn't the blood reabsorb if the pores are open? And the Gemara says, considering that the meat is busy exfoliating, it doesn't have time to take in. So if the shliach is dedicated to giving to his community, he doesn't have time or headspace, doesn't have mental bandwidth to be absorbing from the negative surroundings of a shliach. Here in Montreal, Baruch Hashem, I'm not suffering from this, but a shliach living in the middle of I don't know where, and the only other Shomer Shabbos is the other shliach who's 100 miles away from him or farther. The surroundings are not exactly conducive for raising Orthodox Jewish children, and yet we see kids who grow up in these places themselves becoming shluchim. And why is that? Because their lives from the beginning is dedicated to exfoliating, to giving. There's no time when you're giving and no mental space to be absorbed from the negative surrounding. So that might be another way of understanding this Gemara here. Anyone who is busy giving to the community, sin doesn't come to him because he's busy giving. In addition to the fact that, as Rashi explains it, the Hashem literally just, where's the Rashi there? Yeah, because God, even though he has free choice, of course, but God keeps away the sins that doesn't come to him, so he doesn't stumble. And the same thing is true, as God forbid, in the inverse. Anyone who causes others to sin, so he's the inverse. And it's almost, not literally, because anybody can do tshuva always, but the opportunities for tshuva are not offered to this person as readily as Hashem does for other Jews. Hashem is constantly providing Jews for the opportunity to do teshuvah, but someone who is busy, not just, I don't mind taking my own relationship with Hashem down the drain, but who causes others also intentionally, not someone who's unintentionally just happens to be that way, intentionally makes it his mission to take people away from Yiddishkeit, take people away from Hashem, then Hashem, as it were, holds back the opportunities that are often given for someone to do teshuvah. The Gemara explains why. The fact that we earlier stated that one who is involved in inspiring those around him, Hashem makes sure that the sin doesn't come to him so he doesn't fall for it. My time, what's the reason that Hashem would do that? That he shouldn't be in the depth of literally hell. It could mean on a literal level, the Gemara means in life after death, this person will be in hell because he sinned. The Talmud and his students, Began Eden, will be in paradise because he inspired them. And there's like a discrepancy here, right? As the verse reads, Nafshi. David Melech says, God, you won't let my soul fall down to the bowels of purgatory. You won't give your righteousness to see, again, another word for the depth of purgatory. In other words, David Melech is saying, because I inspire the Jewish people, you won't allow me, God, to end up in that place. So, again, literally the Gemara could mean, or probably does mean, life after death. This person shouldn't be in Gehenna while the other one's in Gan Eden. Although, one could argue that if we just left it at this literal level, we have the problem that, who cares? When the students go to Gan Eden and they see the truth, they know this guy sinned, so they went down. So what's the problem? It's not like it's injustice. It's all perfectly justice. So perhaps this means, not just in the world to come, but here in this world, this person who is inspiring others shouldn't in his mind and in his current state of being, be in a rut where he's lost and distant. That's what happens when a person runs down a path of sin and hedonism. It's not just the punishment in the world to come, but he's in a living hell in his own mind because he can't crawl out of himself. And it would be a very unfortunate state of being if here's this guy that is inspiring the whole community, and this is his mission in life, to inspire the whole community, and in his own head, he's living in the depth while he's inspiring his students to live in the heights. And therefore Hashem says, okay, if he's dedicating his life to give other people their heights, never mind in the world to come, that's certainly true, but even now, giving the community that they should live on such a high level, then it would be unbefitting that he himself, who is dedicating his life to inspiring them, shouldn't get that as well. They made this promise to Shluchim. They dedicate their lives to giving to the community, their relationship with Hashem will be deepened. And this is a matter proven by all those who live this. And the same thing is, God forbid, in the opposite. And anyone who dedicates his life to, God forbid, the opposite, causing others to sin, and God doesn't provide the opportunities for him to do teshuvah, even though of course he can, but Hashem doesn't provide those opportunities as mentioned before. Why? For the same reason. So that he shouldn't be in paradise, in the world to come on the literal level. The Talmud and his students, they're in purgatory because they're getting punished for all the things he made them do. Like the Shemar, the verse reads, Adam Oshep Adam Nefesh Ad Bar Yonus, the person who has like his soul stained with blood because he caused others to do terrible things, will very quickly fall into the pit. And he won't be supported to be pulled out of the pit. He'll just fall into it. So again, the literal level means, the Gemara means life after death. This guy shouldn't be in paradise while his students who he caused to sin are in purgatory for dealing with their sins. But also we can understand it again in this world. He's a person who caused others to live lives of detriment, and yet he abandons them because he's doing teshuvah and off he goes to live a good life. That isn't fair. So what's the solution then? If this is how we understand the Gemara, someone who, God forbid, spent some of his life causing others to sin and wants to do teshuvah, he should become someone who inspires others to do teshuvah. Right? And this is in a certain way, an inspiration that the Baal Tshuva brings more than the Shliach. I preached to somebody about keeping Yiddishkeit. I grew up with it. But a Jew who went through the struggles of life and then became someone who dedicated to Hashem, this is even a deeper inspiration. So these two things are juxtaposed, not just to describe in their opposites, but also to describe the remedy for the one who perhaps, God forbid, unknowingly or knowingly spent some time of his life, causing others to go down a path of negativity, his ultimate truth teshuvah is to become the one who's going to inspire others to keep Yiddishkeit. And not in spite of his story, but because of his story, because of what he went through and his turnaround, he can truly inspire others.
What happens to this guy he's a Jew, he knows all the laws and everything, and he inspires people who are secular,